Let's take a look at the new update that Valve dropped on the 1st of October to see how the game's player feedback has improved. I'm not saying that my video made them think about this issue, but all I'm saying is that I have floppy schizo posting at me in my DMs about how bullet holes are different since the latest patch, so there's that.
I am the #1 most impactful artist of our generation. I am Shakespeare in the flesh.
Before I talk about this, I want to dispel a bunch of rumors about SUBTICK and how it actually works, because it's not that hard to figure it out. Since Valve decided to just completely nuke MetaMod with this update, you're gonna have to look at screenshots that I just so happen to have from about a week ago of me using Pogu's server GUI viewer that shows ingress and egress packet information. SUBTICK is really not as much as people think it is. Essentially, when a player performs an action, a piece of information called SUBTICK_moves is sent to the server with all the other information about the tick. The server sees this in a tab called ingress, in case anyone tests this plugin on their own server when Valve fixes it and wants to see it for themselves. As you can see, this information is basically just a little blip. What it's doing is it's telling the server that you did your movement at this percentage of the tick. Obviously. Sometimes this number shows as negative, and I really have no clue why, but the server normalizes that information to 0, effectively de-subticking your input on the server's end. Speaking of de-subtick, here's a quick word from the sponsor of today's video. Skin Club is the best adult case opening site on the internet. Skin Club lets you open cases for real cash with my promo code in the description. Aren't happy with what you got out of a case? Skin Club lets you write it along into an upgrader so you can get your value back with just a little bit of luck. You can deposit easily with all the methods that you see on screen with easy withdrawals. You can also battle against other players or split the difference so that everybody wins. Head on over to Skin Club with my link in the video description for a deposit bonus. Thank you to Skin Club for sponsoring today's video. If we do CL_tick timing print while connected to a server, we see that the server simulation of the data that it understands to be present takes about 2 milliseconds. That's about this much time in a 60 FPS video. Actually, I can't even show you how fast this is on YouTube unless you like the video and subscribe. That's a really funny joke. 2 milliseconds is less than a single frame's length at 60 FPS. I couldn't even show you at 240 FPS. I would need a 500 FPS video to show you a single frame that's the length of 2 milliseconds. The server does this so fast that there's no way that SUBTICK is or ever has been causing your inputs to feel delayed. So what is causing the delay? Let's take a closer look at CL tick timing print. Let's see how both your game and the server are sending, receiving, processing, sending again, and receiving back your information. First, you click. The server has to send updates at a regular time, otherwise your computer would be trying to send inputs at whatever rate is possible, meaning probably your CPU's refresh rate, which is in the billions of times per second. This is obviously impossible to maintain over the internet, so we choose a tick update rate of something that's high, like 64 or 128. CS2 uses 64 checks per second to send whatever update you did to the server, whether you did something or not. This time could be anywhere from about 0 milliseconds to 15.625 milliseconds, which is the length of a single tick, minus half of your frame time, which is somewhere in the low single-digit millisecond ranges for most PCs unless you're on a total potato. Then your information is sent to the server via the user datagram protocol, called UDP for short. A UDP packet carries your information to the server. Your ping in the top right represents the time for your packet to go from your client back to yourself. So it's going to and from the server. This means that it takes half of the time that your client shows as ping to reach the server. Then the server has a receive margin for what it's going to process in its simulation. If you think about it, there are always 10, sometimes more, including live spectators whose inputs are also tracked, players in a competitive game. So the server needs to wait for all of that information before it begins processing. So it catches all of the data in a certain range, and Valve decided on somewhere in the 40 milliseconds range to give everyone a fair chance of being included in the server simulation. Then the server simulates the tick that it has gotten all of the information for. Again, as a reminder, here is that same simulation slowed down 10 times for your viewing pleasure. All of your information, view angles, head position, SUBTICK moves are all calculated and are ready to be sent out. Now your client has to receive the information with the same travel time that it took to send to the server back to you. Your client has a much smaller receive margin unless you enable CL clock buffer ticks to not be 0, since you only need the server's master update state for your game to process. Then your client has interpolation to calculate, and if your interp ratio is 0, this step is skipped. Before the most recent patch, the game was then doing something called render interpolation, which frankly, I have no clue what this means, and neither does the smartest person that I know, 0K. So if he doesn't know, I have no fucking clue what this is. In the most recent update, this step is completely nuked, so I guess it wasn't that important to be in the game for a full year. Next, your client starts its physics simulation, which takes about this much time as a reminder. Then your client renders this information on your screen. I'd like to show you how much render time was shaved off even when I have a higher ping to this server. This old screenshot is from July, and the new screenshot is from today. Look how much faster the game is. Now, I'm not going to start campaigning for Gabe Newell as president of the USA here, because if we take a look at CSGO on a 128-tick server, it still outperforms CS2. Here I am on 80 ping on both the peaker and holder, and you can see that information is still sent back to the one who shoots faster than CS2 on lower ping. And frankly, the only reason I'm comparing CS2 at 64 to CSGO at 128 is because we're trying to play on the best possible settings. So there's still work to be done here, but I suspect that this has something to do with CS2's server receiving margin, as there doesn't seem to be much more shaving off of the client-side parts of the game that Valve can do. But I hope you come away with this video with one thing. SUBTICK was never the problem. I was discussing this with Zero after finding out how these packets worked before the update. Hell, you can even add SUBTICK to Gmod, so it's not something unique to the Source 2 engine, but it's a simple line that makes your shots actually more accurate. It's not just a stupid tagline. I hope that the last year of complaining about SUBTICK has paid off for everyone, since it seems like it was a big nothing burger. Thank you for watching. If you like this video and want to see more like it, subscribe. YouTube thinks that you'll enjoy this next video, so please check it out. Have a good one.